Hello once again, audience. It is me, your boy TPT, coming at you, not live and not from Twitch TV. I hope you all are having a fantastic day today. So I wanted to make this video because I feel like it's a question that comes up surprisingly often, and that is it's to do with essentially why I don't world conquest, and if I think world conquesting is a good idea or fun. And so, short answer, no. The short answer is no. I don't think it's fun. I don't enjoy it, and I never intend to do one. Now, the long answer is obviously a little more lengthy, and that is why I have no intentions of doing a world conquest. Now, you may be surprised to hear that I've tried it out before, and I think that I 100% can do world conquest. Not necessarily on every country, but I definitely could do it if I really wanted to. But obviously, the thing is, I don't. Now, I obviously, when talking about EU4, it is a sandbox game. You know, it's a sandbox game, and you can do whatever you want in this game, right? If you want to play a Pirate Republic Rugen into Germany, you can do that. You're allowed to do that because the game says you can, because there's no rules against it. And if you want to play say Ireland, and you want to form the great Irish Empire, you can do that because the game lets you do it. And sorry, I'm also doing some math at the same time. But when you get into a world conquest, okay, you guys may not know, okay, but world conquest, they're very, very specific. They follow a tried, true, and tested method in order to achieve the same results pretty much every single time, right? You get as much of an early power base as you can. You get max absolutism that you can, do court and country, get like 100 absolutism, and then just eat everything as quickly as possible. Okay, that is basically, I've pretty much summed up how every single world conquest plays out. All right, you do this, and then you win, or you don't win. Obviously, if you didn't do it very well, it just depends. Now, the thing about that is, world conquests require quite a bit of preparation, both in terms of in-game and out-of-game. You need to be aware of how to do it exactly. You need to make sure you do it exactly. If anything goes wrong, you often have to restart or save scum. It requires, it does require a degree of luck, I would say. If you're doing it as smaller countries, like some people, they could definitely do a world conquest as a Pirate Republic Rugen if they really wanted to. But I mean, it's not fun, but they could do that. That's well within their right. And so, like when faced with that, you realize that when you do it, you start it, and you realize, hold on a minute, this is boring as fuck, okay? It's true, some people do enjoy, alright, doing world conquest, okay? I've never met any of those people, but some people do, okay? I'm sure it's possible. but it's not something that most people enjoy because it's very finicky. There's a lot of pausing and micromanagement involved, and it makes the game feel less like a sandbox, you know? Like, sure, okay, historically speaking, Ryukyu didn't conquer the whole planet, alright? So you could call it a sandbox, but you're always going for the same goal of eating everything. You do it the exact same way every single time, alright? Now, if you want to do a World Conquest once, you could argue that that is, you know, it's unique enough. It's unique enough to warrant, you know, being different. It's unique enough to at least warrant doing it once. However, once you do it a second time and a third time, you eventually realize that it's just not enjoyable because you're doing the same thing every time. And you'll find that the more enjoyable runs are the ones where you set your own parameters, okay? Like, for example, okay, Flywari does have some great examples of this, you know, or DDR Jake, you know, playing best Korea or better Korea. You know, or like where Flywari played, I think it was Isle of Man, and then he was only allowed to conquer islands, you know? And honestly, sometimes I'd argue that those runs are more difficult than World Conquest 2, depending on how you set the requirements. You know, some of those runs are probably even more difficult because you know, where World Conquest is just, okay, you've just got to eat absolutely everything, right? Whereas if you're playing by yourself, you're like on an island, okay, say for example, you're playing as Corfu. I think maybe it was Corfu Islands only, okay? But that's actually really difficult because you don't border any islands except, well, technically you don't border this one. You do border the country for it, but you know, or like you can only go that. Whereas with, you know, if you're playing as Corfu, you're just doing a wild conquest, well, you can just take all this shit. Whereas you can't actually do that. So honestly, it's not. You can't even make the argument that world conquests are objectively harder because there are parameters you can set which make those unique runs more difficult. You know. And I feel like EU4 is a game where the player tends to write their own stories, you know? Like, being told, okay, here's how you do it, this is how you have to do it, because EU4 is a meta game, alright? It's a strong meta game around it. Look, technically you don't have to do it, but everyone knows that it's the most efficient method, and it's the least painful option, you know? Choosing to do it other ways is even more painful. And I've just never felt like I want to put myself in a situation where I do that, okay, I follow the steps, and then I spend the next, like, you know, 12 fucking hours individually conquering provinces one at a time until I've got the whole goddamn planet, alright? It's just not exciting, it's not interesting, it doesn't present you with any particular challenge other than, you know, oh, you've got to get to everything within a certain time limit, okay? I've never really been a fan of time limits for a start, okay? Technically every achievement has the time limit, but with and World Conquest doesn't have a specific time limit, but it has unofficial time limits of if you don't have this much dev and this much you know, admin capacity or absolutism by this point in the game, you basically have to restart because you're not going to make it, all right? I don't like those sort of things, right? I like my time limit being 1821. It's a similar reason why I've never gone for like True Heir of Timur or that, because I don't like, or Big Blue Blob, you know, I don't like the achievements that set arbitrary time limits. Okay, well, again, technically it's not arbitrary, but it's very strict, you know, and I'm not a fan of that, okay? I like taking my time, you know, enjoying the game for what it is, and I just, you know, I don't really, the game was never designed for World Conquest either, okay? The game wasn't designed to do that. A lot of World Conquest will often also involve, say, you know, like save scumming, exploits as well. I'm not really a huge fan of exploits in EU4. I do in my other games, I'm not going to pretend I don't, but in EU4 I do like to play it legit. At least up to the point of, you know, like if I'm playing like this, obviously I'll use some cheats to be able to start myself as this country, because obviously normally you can't start as a pirate republic, so I had to mess around with it a little bit. I think I probably didn't need to give myself these extra tiers, but I just said fuck it, because I went down to here, swapped over to the Republic, and then got the event naturally. about swapping to the Pirate Republic. And, you know, because someone asked me to do it, and I said, sure, fuck it, that sounds enjoyable. Anytime someone says, you know, do a World Conquest, I just physically cringe inside, because it's not unique as well. Like, it doesn't provide any unique difficulties. There's no theme behind it, you know. A lot of the Paradox achievements, they'll have themes behind them, you know, and that at least brings, you know, like, some more entertainment to them. Like, what's a good example, you know, like, let me think. Oh, the sun never sets on the Indian Empire. Probably a great example. You know, there's a bit of a theme behind that one. It's kind of entertaining. You know, you don't have to feel like forced into doing specific things. You just have to, you know, look, take your time, take these provinces. There's no rush. You can do it by 1821. That's okay, and then you're done. You know, or what's another good example? Baltic Crusader. You know, as Teutonic Order, conquer all of Russia. All right. It's pretty difficult, but you don't feel like, you know, like you're not restricted in any particular way. You do have to make it Catholic, which was actually, I'm pretty sure that took longer than conquering all the provinces. Pretty sure I spent like the last like 20-30 years just converting shit. But I mean, like, that was just running on some speed 5. I went off to do something more exciting instead, you know. So sometimes there are boring bits in achievement runs, or like you do have to constantly restart them. But World Conquest just, it doesn't feel unique to me. It doesn't offer me any, you know, like, there's no context really. You could argue that the Ryukyu World Conquest kind of has one, but not really. Let's be real here. And then, you know, like, and then you finish it and you're like, okay, great, let's do it again. You know, no. You do it. I think if you really want to, you should do it once. You know, I'm not going to tell you how to play, but I personally think you should do it once, you know, and if you do it a second time, you'll realize that you're probably not going to enjoy it. Because that's how it always goes. So anyway, look, guys, I hope you have enjoyed. I know this was a very subjective video. As I said, there are some people that enjoy World Conquest. I do know that they exist. They're not very common, mind you. I do know that they exist. I don't want to bash them or anything. I personally just don't think that World Conquest are entertaining. I don't think they're unique. I don't think they provide any new perspective. It feels like it goes against a lot of what the game is made for. Although obviously it is a sandbox game, but it doesn't really feel like you're playing in the sandbox. It kind of feels like you've been pushed in a very specific direction by a very specific time period, and you're forced to do the same things repeatedly in order to achieve the same results as well. Anyway, guys, hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Peace.